Hi, everyone. So honored to be here with you all today. Oh, there's been such a huge unfolding that has been taking place for all of us as divine humans, as individuals, and in this massive collective experience that we're all going through. It's really quite magnificent. And so I'm here today to speak into the Holy Mother energy, into the presence of the Divine Mother, and this incredible reanimation and return of this cosmic parent, this sacred energy of our truest mother, this ancient primordial presence that is emerging once again through us and through all levels of consciousness, through all layers, through all grid systems, through our bodies. We are realizing and remembering the miracle of our very creation, how we've come to be in this form at this incredible time. And so I'm speaking into the divine intelligence of creation that is available to all of us to create miraculous states of consciousness, to create the higher trajectories, to bring into manifestation through the sacred instrumentation of our body temple all of our visions, all of our desires, all of our ideas, everything that feels authentic to us on a higher oversoul level, the truth of our divine self embodied. All of those creations and dreams and passionate spark of aliveness in us requires us to remember and know how it is that it came to be the creation of us and how it is that we are able to create. And so we're speaking here into the cosmic mother. We're speaking here into the reconnection and restoration of that relationship with the Divine Mother as this beautiful, unified field of cosmic nature is coming together, Mother, Father, God consciousness. And there's something very, very specific and important that has happened through time in terms of our disconnection from the mother energy and how that has impacted our capacity to know ourselves, to remember ourselves as divine creators, as self-empowered beings connected perpetually to the source, to the great womb of all things of which birthed the entire universe. This is our birthright to know this. And for eons of time, we have forgotten this. And so we are here now in this ascension experience to know ourselves once again as creators, as divine incarnates. And so what has occurred is that humanity has really lost confidence in our capacity to be able to create in freedom, to have original expression, original artistry, knowing that empowerment that we can change the trajectory by birthing it, by holographically emanating it through the coherence of our light body, through the purity of our intent, through the harmonization of all dimensions of self. Okay, and we have been looking outside of ourselves for the instruction, for the permission, for someone to tell us how to create. And just think about that for a moment. If I ask you to create anything at all that you could possibly imagine, right? We often immediately think about accessing a manual, accessing a tutorial, looking for a step-by-step guide to direct our energy into a structured manifestation, right? There's been a disconnect, a loss of that knowing and that remembrance. And this is what is coming alive in us at this pivotal time of awakening. This template within us, this is a sacred divine design. It is a temple as a source instrument, so that the vastness, the immaculate substance and energy of fertile, abundant source can play and harmonize through our instrument and be that crystal bridge between realms, to be that modulation, to be able to bring through an offering, to bring through a contribution of something that feels alive in us, that we know is our talents and our passions, because we have those keys and codes. And this is the deepest, deepest levels of remembrance that we are being catalyzed into. And for me, that's what awakening really is. It is arising into clarity of what is already inside of you. Those encoded ancient origins that are nestled deeply in our genetics, these keys and these codes, these gifts, these sacred perceptions that give us this particular angle of light, of presence. And so we are all feeling this as we are coming through these massive initiations of disclosure and the thinning of the magnetosphere, the thinning of veils. It just starts to become that fluid osmosis, that bleed through effect of membranes. So instead of feeling we have the world outside of us and us as an individual, right? Or this part of the body and another system in the body, everything's starting to come more into a relating, more into a reciprocity and an openness as the communication is dilating. And this is what our planet is going through. This is a planetary awakening, this cosmic activation and ascension of Gaia, as she also is moving into a higher creation potential, a higher octave of her own divine destiny, from Earth to Gaia, from Earth to Tara to Gaia to Aramatena, and then ultimately into the higher oversoul of Sophia. And so we are going through that in our own individual human journeys as the crystalline structures within us are activating. And the parts of us that were asleep, the dormant codes and the ancient remembering, the memories are coming back online because they are being reorganized and repaired. There is more of an opening and a availability for those intact, harmonious, coherent structures to be revealed to us. It's very revelationary of what's already within. And so a lot of the spiritual work that we've been doing, the practices, the clearing of negative structures and belief systems and genetic overlays, we are clearing that density, and we are clearing those thickened veils, that smoky curtain that is cast upon us that doesn't enable us to fully see and have that perception of alignment and clarity. It causes that separation. And so we are all moving through this huge initiation as inhabitants of this beautiful planet that we get to live on and co-create with, the elemental mother, which is a micro to macro reflection of what's happening in even larger scales. This beautiful unfolding of this cosmic dance. And so I wanted to speak a little bit today into this sacred inheritance that we are gifted through the mother consciousness. And this is given to all males and all females. So all human beings, every human being on this planet. And I'm speaking about the mitochondria. And so mitochondria are these tiny little, they're almost like cells within cells. So they are these structures within the cellular material of our body. They are all over the body. You can find them in the heart organ, you can find them in the reproductive system, in the tissues, in the blood, in the bone. It's everywhere. And as we are being conceived as an incarnating soul coming into a body, our mitochondria is only passed to us from our mother. The mitochondria is an aspect of the sperm that enables it to have motility, to swim. It's actually helically wrapped in the tail of the sperm, but once the sperm actually arrives to the egg, of which the mitochondria was a propulsion system to get the sperm there, the tail or the mitochondrial material doesn't actually transfer into the egg. And so we are experiencing this tightly maternal encryption, this transference of an unbreakable legacy of creation. And this is so significant because what this does is it opens a traceable pathway back to our source, from children to the mother, to the great-grandmother, all the way back through time through the matrilineal line. And this is the mother code, the creation code that has been preserved as our divine cosmic origins. And beyond all space and time, beyond all separation, beyond all fractalization and emanation of different experiences and fields of creation, both human and non-human. This is the living memory archives within our bodies, within every cell of our bodies. And how sacred this is that we have been gifted this divine heritage, this alive template, and knowing the seeding of all things from the great mother's womb, from the dark matter void, from which the entire universe was birthed. And so, as I mentioned, the paternal mitochondria, they perish in embryos during fertilization. So we receive nuclear DNA from our father, we receive nuclear DNA from our mother, and this is a beautiful genetic synthesis of sperm and egg opening a portal for a divine miracle, for a canvas to be artistically expressed. But the mitochondria is a very specific sequence of information that is only transited and passed down through the mother line. And so this is significant because it enables us to actually know that we all have this pathway that we can trace all the way back through time itself, all the way back through all the generations, all of our ancestry, okay, and all of the experience that are compacted and stored into that genetic material of birthing civilizations, of creating, of fertility and abundance, okay, of the nourishment and nurturance and the original freedom and expression, that loving consciousness of the Divine Mother encoded in us for eternity, all the way back to the dark womb, the original point of the nothingness and the everything, the silence and the sound, the eternal blackness, just pure potential. And even at this point, we've been able to identify a common ancestor amongst all of us that is what we call original Eve from somewhere in Africa around 170,000 years ago. She is that archetypal presence, our 16th, 1000th grandmother of all of us. And so there is something so special that we have in common. And there is a coding here in our mitochondria that speaks to something very specific. And this is so sacred. It is so distinct that it is a transmission that can only be delivered through the mother. And so mitochondria has a couple of different functions that we are, aware of in terms of like the scientific understanding of how mitochondria works through the biological system. It is said to create ATP, which is the chemical energy. It's the triphosphates and adenine as this nitrogenous base, right? And it creates the chemical energy for the cells to be vitalized, to have energy, to go about your day, to do all of the things and meet the threshold of energy that we need. And it also has the function of supporting our cells in breathing, so cellular respiration. And so it is very important that our mitochondria are functioning, right? And in a lot of what we are living through this ascension and through this awakening and restoration of our divine temple is mitochondrial repair. It is mitochondrial DNA repair, because this is meant to be passed intact from mother to child. Yet, due to a lot of the trauma and suffering and separation consciousness and degradation of our genetics through time, we have been experiencing limitation and damage to the true function of our mitochondria. And so that can create lots of different disease patterns and chronic fatigue and different kinds of imbalances in the body, and an overarching sense of disconnection from that creativity. Okay, it's really quite profound when we can start to explore these realms with more intimacy, with more reverence for creation, and ask the important questions of how is it possible that we can create? This is not only about birthing children as the only way to create. This is about us as artists, as cosmic artists, here for our unique cause, here for our transmission. That is original art. And our reality, our cosmic realm is like this amazing exhibition gallery where we get to display, where we get to offer our unique essence in devotion to an expanding consciousness. And so that is very well understood and studied, the ATP chemical energy within the cells, giving us energy to move about the day, creating cellular respiration. But what is actually happening here is that mitochondria are not just coding for physical expressions in the body, for the biological functioning of our human system, it is multidimensional. And so this is the aspect that science has yet to stretch their loving consciousness there yet, right? Because for me, mitochondria and the ATP is actually a spiritual light language. It's a light presence within our multidimensional soul aspects. And it creates this navigation system of the soul to come into embodiment. Okay, the emergence of more soul light quanta through the cellular and tissue matrix, which is what is actually enabling the embodiment and the modulation of higher refined expressions of our spiritual presence into form, so into the body, into all of the systems of the body. And with that comes the lived experience and expression of more freedom, of more coherence through all levels and layers and systems and expressions, more love, more harmony, more purpose, more spiritual purpose, more knowing of what it is that you're here for, and the recognition and the empowerment of realizing that you have what it takes to create those visions, those electric ideas and incredible thoughts as a lucid dream, to bring that through as real, to be an ambassador for unity consciousness. And so when our spiritual body is not really active in the physical body, when we're separated from that higher knowing, right? When we feel like sources outside of ourselves, that we're disconnected, our mitochondria tend to have dysfunction and we start to experience cellular death. And so again, with this ascension, this awakening, this movement of consciousness through time and space, this dilation of the womb, we are having this chance for regenesis, renewal. And what a miracle that truly is, that we get to live this voyage of coming back to ourselves, of coming back into connection with our source, with that point of creation. And so packed into these tiny little mitochondrial structures are the holographic memory records of that authentic creation source, the knowing of how we are creating, how it's possible that we have exploded forth from the womb as intention into all of these expressions of consciousness, from galaxies to universes to solar systems to stars to humans to plants to animals to minerals to all of life. The knowing of how it is that we can do that. And the knowing as well of what has already been created. And so this sacred knowledge that was so advanced and so sacred, that had to only be inherited from that authentic ambassador for this information, the Holy Mother, the divine womb, the original source. This was meant to have passed on to us intact into all beings through this sacred inheritance, through this tightly maternal encryption, to preserve that universal access, that spiritual empowerment, so that it's always available to us, no matter how much we forget ourselves, no matter how much we stray off the path, we play into or buy into victim consciousness, where we feel like we're not creative, where we feel disempowered, all these kinds of limitations that are a part of the human journey. But knowing that that divine access is always there regardless, So it's giving us this chance to be able to recognize and remember ourselves and align through our chosen will to that primordial truth, that greatest knowing that lives on in us through our genetics. And this translates in its fullest expression to abundance, to creative energy, to be able to be in the present moment, yet fully immersed and connected through the 0 point unified field. This is cellular respiration. This is what science is saying when they're saying that our cells are breathing. But this is the breath of God animating source through us. This is the living light intelligence and awareness of self as creator. I know that I'm creating from moment to moment. And it's like the inhalation and the exhalation where we feel so divinely connected and at ease. Our cells are respiring. Okay, they're doing the same thing. It's this fluid merging into the whole, the totality becoming one beyond all membranes of separateness, beyond all the sheaths and veils of illusion. And so the mitochondria are these beautiful maps and coordinate systems for giving a navigation mechanism for embodiment of the soul. For this cosmic voyage as spirit coming into matter, into animation, it's giving the reference, it's giving the context of how we can do that. Look at all the creations that have already been displayed, that have already been demonstrated and birthed forth into reality as human and non-human. All of that coding, all of that sacred knowing, the genetic keys are nestled within our DNA, our mitochondrial DNA. And so it's so important for us to look within us how to create. So we're no longer looking to the manual, we're no longer looking to the tutorial and looking outside of ourselves without first connecting and dropping in to that vast realm of intelligent, loving, passionate, and expressive consciousness that is alive within us. This is the true meaning of fertility. And in our society, we have really rendered that word fertility, the frequency of it, to something of a very specific band, like being able to birth children, for example. But fertility is so vast. It's this endless domain of pure potential. It's the fertile soil that is there to support all of the seeds in coming into their highest destiny, in blossoming and unfurling and rising into light, rising into love and unique expression. And that soil is the dark matter. It's the lava, it's the infinite void for conceiving. This is the conception and giving rise to new intentions, to new thoughts. And so we are redefining our relationship here with the Dark Mother. And so our mitochondria are working multidimensionally to create this superpositioning of our soul as these shimmering constellations within the dark void. The pitched blackness, the pitched silence, the endless, ineffable, immeasurable space. The little light cells, the brilliant, luminous lights within our mitochondria are giving us that mapping system. Okay, they're giving us the the context of when we look to the stars, it's like, how are we navigating when we're moving across the ocean of consciousness? It's assisting us with this mapping system throughout the cosmos to provide a pathway, to provide a sequence of bringing a soul into a body and bringing intent and visions and creation into form. And this is the true miracle of it all. It's really this shimmering tapestry of light genetics that is threaded and unified as these constellations, right? And our mitochondria's capacity to connect it all by giving a reference, okay, through one's relationship to creation itself. So if I can recognize everything that I've already created in my life, all of the talents that I have, all of the manifestations that have already occurred through me, through my alignment to my own empowerment, my knowing of myself as source, the intent to incarnate into this body, and all of the legacy of light, this devotional heritage of the Great Mother Consciousness from us as sons and daughters to our mother, to our grandmother, through all time, okay, of the mother lineage. This is the remembrance that is encoded so sacredly in our genetics. And this is the cosmic weaving, right? We are threading and weaving these prayers and song lines and visions and all of the mother energy into our DNA so that these crystal genes can come online, so that we can remember and we can radiate infinite holographic spectrums of colorful light prisms, all of the palette of creation, all of the colors of which we get to create with, of divine nature. And so this is available within each and every one of us. There is no separation. And this is an ancient future Mother God technology, so loving, so advanced, so primordial that it has been gifted to us as males and females so that we can perpetually remain connected to the knowing that we are creation itself, that we are creators, and that we're here to continue that legacy as the baton is passed to us through our genetics. We are radiating through that everything that we create, whether that's a human child, whether that is an artwork, whether that is music, whether that is a kind of business, any kind of legacy that we are leaving through our genetics. And we are expanding that field to create something new, something that hasn't been done before. All of the struggle, all of the strife, all of the overcomings that have occurred through our mother line, everything that our mothers had to go through, everything they witnessed, everything they learned, their initiations, their mastery of knowing how to create through the sacred womb. That is an immeasurable source of potent energy that we can tap into through our cells. Mm. And so we've been gifted this divine temple, this divine template. And we have this sacred reproductive system, both men and women. Okay, the sacred genitalia, the sacred stargates that enables us to conceive in this physical plane of reality. This is really the result of such divine innovation, such divine intention to explore new ways to modulate these cosmic energies into manifestation, coming together in divine union, the sperm and the egg creating the offspring. And this is present in all of the stargates in our light body template. Okay, these beautiful interdimensional openings that enable the communication between all realms. We have the holographic DNA and genetics. We have our chromosomes. This is the color consciousness, the diversification of how unlimited our designs get to be, of our artistry. And we are supported with our hormones, our endocrine system, this God interface to give us the chemical translation of divine nature, of creation through our vessels. And it's all here within us to translate that loving message of source, of the original creation. And so when we think about conceiving children, then this is the most common reflection of that journey as creators. It's the most well understood as human beings, right? We're called to this incredible cause. It's so beautiful, this legacy of love throughout the generations. This is Trinity, this is family, expansion and devotion, the dedication to raising and rising in unity and love. And this is really the reflection to us and the confirmation of the miraculous body temples that we all have as these beautiful divine humans. This is sacred sexuality, where we get to create something so divine through our bodies as we come together in union, as we braid and thread our genetics together as mother and father consciousness, expanding the luminous fabric of creation that then unfolds around us as a new realm, a new trajectory. But at the same time, this is just one expression of our potential. This is one application of this Mother God technology within our sacred reproductive system and within our entire body temple, our cellular matrix, our light body, all this architecture that has been so lovingly and pristinely organized and manifested. We get to apply and connect with that same organic technology to create something new in many, many different spectrums. And so the mother energy is really the energy of divine love, of immaculate, innocent creation that is expansive, that is fertile, that is devotional to continue to support the expansion of that fabric, to continue to support the knowing of ourselves more fully as creator, as creatress, without separation. And so when we look up into the night sky, which I do so often now with my telescope, we see the night starry sky reflecting back. But that's not outside of us. Okay, when we look at the planets and the stars, this is actually just confirming what is already within us, within ourselves, these constellations, these coordinate mapping systems within our mitochondria, within the infinite spaciousness of our own soul's consciousness that is eternal. It's the great void. We need our mitochondria to give us the guidance to be able to create and to wield new creations through our form. And her essence, her presence is here in every single particle of us. And we contain the whole. In every nanoparticulate, as small as you can possibly take your imagination, beyond what science can even measure in terms of the smallest particle. Okay, within that particle contains the totality. This is fractality. And so her message is alive within all of us. And she has been preserving this for eons and eons of time, for eternity. This is not linear. There isn't a start point and an end point. This is spiral. This is why the mitochondrial DNA helically wrap into a toroid field. Okay, it's a loop that starts to create this perpetual flow of energy, of an open source pathway of connection to all that is. And this can never really truly be lost. It can be a little muddled up in translation. There can be overlays, there can be amnesia to this original creation code, but ultimately it's still here within us. And the ascension that we're all moving through is stimulating that knowing. It's bringing those memories to the forefront so that we can truly register and feel the vitality, feel the motivation, feel the passion and the creativity alive in us. That's the instrument of our physical bodies that is translating the sensation of arousal through us. This is why we are sexual beings, because we feel lit up, we feel called to a cause. We feel so creative and alive and alight. That's what ATP is doing, right? ATP is giving us the energy, the luminosity through our cells, okay, to uplift us into that state, into that stream of cosmic consciousness. Okay, so we're participating actively in the ascension. We're participating actively in the creation and birthing of higher trajectories, in the transformation of our genetics as we disentangle ourselves and our DNA from these patterns of poverty and victimization and war and famine and disease. Okay, all of this, these disharmonious structures, we are removing these threads and we are weaving our love language, our light language, okay, as these beautiful song lines that we, in all of our prayers, right, we are weaving that through our genetics to create something so beautiful, so miraculous. Because this is not only just us having this experience as individuation, it's about the whole. It's like, what is the legacy that we're leaving? Okay, what is the legacy that we're creating in every moment? It's bigger than just ourselves. Are the things that we're creating right now today, are they going to be present? Are they going to be having an energetic impact of love and expansion in 50 more years, in 100 years, in 100,000 years? Okay, we have that power within us to be able to wield this sacred creation consciousness to bring an exalted state into everything that we're birthing. And in our mitochondria, as I said, this is not only about being human and having a human form, this is also about being non-human. Okay, as we've been planets and stars, all those records of ourselves, remembering ourselves when we were a planet, remembering ourselves beyond Atlantis and Lemuria, beyond the Aboriginal cultures, beyond the original Eve. What about when we were mineral and rock, when we were lava and when we were plasma, when we were molecules, when we were oxygen and hydrogen and ether? Okay, all of that experiential coding and memory is here within our mitochondria. And we get to tap into that. We get to open that wellspring of love and allow that to flow into all of our creations. And I know that a lot of us become quite hesitant to feel ourselves so macro. We're so accustomed to being so compressed, this constant compression and conditioning of playing it smaller. We actually see that in our cells. Our cells actually start to compress into each other. When we're relaxed and we're in alignment, they start to open and spread, and there's more of a graceful ease between the interstitial fluid of cells, right? It's more coherent. But because we've been under so much pressure and conditioning to be disempowered, we're sold into believing that we're not even creative. Okay, the way that we've been educated, the way that we've been brought up through this inverted matrix, right, which is a reversal to this original creation code of the mother. And it's so fascinating because of the frequency spells that are put on words through the collective mind in the morphogenetic fields, because mother actually means matrix. And so we've reversed it. Okay, and so we have this warped version, this synthetic version of mother, right? This matrix where we go to work and we study and we get all these degrees and, the economy and all of that, right? The food system. We think that that's how we get nourishment. We think that that's how our life is sustained, but it is incredibly incoherent. And so that's the reversal that I'm speaking into of the matrix. Okay, but the matrix is our mother. The matrix is our body, our cellular matrix, our liquid fascia matrix, our blood and tissue matrix, our bone matrix, everything that is crystallizing into this new silicate matrix. Okay, this divine crystalline presence of the mother in all of her diamond spectrums and refraction patterns of light is birthing through us. And we are birthing ourselves every time we create something authentic, something original and new through that divine synthesis with our source, okay, with that original dark womb of creation. It wells up from within us, and we actually rebirth ourselves every time we create. We can't possibly be the same person that we were before an original loving creation. Okay, imagine all of that energy that comes through the body to be able to bring that into manifestation. And the mitochondria represent that unbreakable legacy to the truth of our soul. And this is the return of the mother consciousness through the planetary body, through Earth, through Gaia, through our human light bodies, okay, through this restoration and reorganization of Mother, Father, God on our planet. What an incredible time to be here witnessing this, to be here unfolding the miracle of us, of ourselves. And so I started to tap into the deeper knowing for myself that we create our own light. And I went on an experience deep into the inner caverns of the earth, into the pitch blackness. And I physically went to this place in New Zealand where I live. And in these inner cathedrals, in these cavities inside the earth, in these wet realms of limestone, were thousands and thousands and thousands of organisms that were bioluminescent. That as I was on this beautiful boat, just gliding across the liquid waters of this womb space in pitch blackness, and just looking up and seeing thousands of constellations of these organisms that are physically here and able to create their own light. And I believe, and I know it, that this is what we are doing as we animate the soul through our body. We become more luminous, we become more illuminated. Yet at the same time, I notice that there is a spelling overlay as well with our capacity to bring that light. And so when we look into the compound of ATP, the phosphates, the luciferase, that is the way in which these organisms are able to create their own light, is through a compound called luciferin or luciferase. And really interesting, this comes from the word Lucifer, comes from the word Satan. Okay, yet the true original meaning of that word is light bringing, the morning star, which means Venus. And to carry, to bear, to bring light. And this is interchangeable with the word phosphorus, right? It's an organism that shines of itself. Okay, this is what these organisms were doing inside the cave, and this is what we are doing through our mitochondria, through the animation of the soul through our body, through our ATP's multidimensional expression, not just as chemical energy for cellular respiration and physical coding, but something very spiritual as we embody more and more of our soul's presence into physicality. And so when I looked into this, I started to realize there is an overlay here. There is some negative spell that has been put on the luciferase, okay, the phosphorus, the capacity to bring light, the rising morning star through the divine femininity of Venus within us. Okay, Venus represents our biological female sex. It represents femininity, and there is a very, very clear link here between the mother energy, the connection between our mitochondria, of which has the triphosphates. It has 3 different phosphates within it, right? Capacities to shine of itself, not to take light from outside of us, right? But to generate it from within us. We are that crystal generator of consciousness. We create our own light. We create our own vitamins. We create our own water. We don't need anything outside of ourselves. Okay, and with this overlay, with the satanic Luciferian warping and distortion through the religious texts, it's like, well, we're creating this schism. Is our capacity to create light something negative? Is it something evil? Right? We can see the separation that's happening here, the disempowerment through frequency overlays, through words and our understanding. And so when we look into phosphates, phosphates are what sustains life through our DNA. Right? Our DNA is giving us the natural access to our multidimensional soul expressions throughout all dimensions. And the phosphates are helping to sustain the DNA. They're helping to bring life to the RNA and to the ATP. Remembering the ATP is what is within our mitochondria. Okay, those star maps, those constellations of brilliant shimmering light, reminding us of our potential for creation, giving us that context, giving us that reference of how we've been doing it in all of our parallel expressions, how it's been done through the generations. Okay, this beautiful inner knowing that exists in us, right? This is, we can measure this, the biological material, the phosphates, and they actually exist in crystalline form. When I looked into this, into phosphates, when our body is at room temperature, these phosphates take on a cubic crystalline structure. And so what that says to me, what this was speaking to me, is the grounding of the cube geometry, right? Cubes, the cubic structures and geometries are grounding. They're the container of consciousness, okay, for earthing, for integration into the body. And so if this bioluminescent, light-bringing consciousness in our body has a crystal cubic structure, this is the crystal genes, right? This is the animation and the grounding of our soul into the body. Okay, it's so significant, it's so profound when we can start to open our hearts to explore these micro to macro realms within us with absolute devotion and curiosity and wonder of the miracle of life, of reverence for the mother and devotion to continually expand that through our soul's witnessing. And so I started to feel that Venus, the planet Venus, is holding these immense mother energy records, that she is supporting our ascension. She is like the sister energy of Earth as the brightest object in the night sky, right? This beautiful relationship with our Earth as they move in this cosmic dance and orbital expression and display. And so Venus has this direct impact upon our cell's capacity to create light, right? She is that morning star. She is that light bearer within us as the mother consciousness, as the goddess, as the womb of creation. And it's just so wonderful to dive in deeper to that essence and what is being broadcasted. What is the intention behind the great womb of creation birthing our entire Milky Way galaxy and the solar system? This beautiful relating that's happening in a dynamic relationship between the planets. Okay, and when I looked into Venus, I started to realize that Venus is mostly volcanic. Okay, 80,000 volcanoes, 90% basalt surface, generating this tremendous heat, this dynamic power, this most incredible plasma force of creation. She is the brightest stellar body in the night sky, the brightest star, yet the darkest dark matter with all of her lava, all of the blackness, all of the basalt. But within that, the multidimensional lava are the liquid crystal prisms of consciousness, of primordial memory of creation. This is what I believe with our planet before, life even came to be, that it was just volcanoes. Volcanoes are the precursor to a thriving biome of creation. They are the interdimensional portals that actually create bridging systems to connect realms interdimensionally. And they are this like inner network and chamber system that bring eruptions of love from the inner crust through dimensions, giving rise to more states of consciousness, more expressions and differentiations of life. And some of these volcanoes on Venus are as big as 4 kilometers high and 800 kilometers wide. And in comparison to our beautiful planet Earth, really the only place that's kind of similar in that type of makeup is Hawaii. And when you think about Hawaii and its proximity to the ancient land of Mu, of Lemuria, it's really this birthing portal for the new earth. It's the Mother Ark Stargate that is opening up this most rich and fertile womb that is bringing this new creation forward, this new earth for an entire rising humanity. And we know that volcanic landscapes are always the most rich and the most fertile for everything that is grown in that soil. It is crystalline. Okay, and all of that memory encoded in the crystals, in the lava, in the soil that then becomes the abundant plains for growing all of the food, right, is so activated in these places. So imagine Venus with 80,000 volcanoes and being 90% basalt. Right? I feel that she is there as this supportive energy to consistently broadcast and radiate the mother consciousness, the volcanic lava crystal codes of what is truly possible for us as creators. And when we think about the location of Hawaii and in this position within the Pacific Rim, we can see there is a beautiful snake-like aurora boreas, right? That creates this field of activation around Hawaii in the center point. This is the ancient dragon consciousness of original creation, the original seeding of all life. And volcanoes and lava are our ancient ancestors, and the crystals within it are connecting us to the crystalline color consciousness of who we truly are as illuminated beings. And so it's truly time for us to make a choice to really make that decision of letting go of everything that has served us to this point in terms of limitation, in terms of separation, of feeling unable to create, of feeling disconnected from the body, from feeling disconnected from our pure sexual, creative, divine life force. It is time for us to open our hearts, our wombs, our minds to receive the Holy Mother that is pulsing through all realms, okay, through all aspects of us. There's never been a time like it that we're living right now. And this is really a closing note of reassurance, of inspiration that you have everything that you need within you to create miracles in whatever way feels authentic to you, to your authentic purpose, to your visions, to your dreams, to your prayers, everything that you see yourself birthing in the higher trajectories, and in so birthing yourself into a more empowered, expansive version of you at the same time. What a gift! What a gift this is in sacred reciprocity. And as the veils continue to get incredibly thin and opaque and transparent, we eradicate all fear from ourselves and really start to open to receive that dilation, that communication of everything that we have been preparing for so long, for generations upon generations. And there is a reason that each and every one of you are here at this time. And it is time for us to remember how it is that we came to be, to tap into that divine technology, that organic creation force within us. And so we can radiate this as a living example to all others who feel disconnected. So perhaps that spark can come alive in them as well. I love you all so much. Mm. Many blessings to each and every one of you.